Welcome back, everybody, to part 5 of my study on making mastery work for secondary students. I'm doing a book review on Every Student Can Succeed by William Glasser. And thank you for your patience and your attention. I know it's a hot June day and everybody's scrambling to get through each of our projects. And I'm going to wrap it up with the summary of a series of meetings I had with my own students. And I let them give me feedback as to how they thought we were doing with applying mastery learning. And I asked certain questions that would allow them to make some comments on cognitive and psychosocial development issues. And so here are the questions that I asked my students during our noon hour lunchtimes. Why do some students succeed and others do not in a mastery system? Secondly, what does a successful student look like in their mind? Number 3, how can students help each other succeed? And I had a bit of an agenda there. And fourthly, how can teachers help their students succeed? Well, here's a summary of their feedback. The students talked about teacher consistency. Way back in part 1, you looked at a rubric, and I explained that there are only 2 possible grades of A and B. And the students suggested that our teachers in this system are applying things much differently from class to class and across academic disciplines. There were teachers that they knew would give them easy grades if they delayed and did not hand things on time and pleaded a learning issue that they needed additional time to master. And one of the ways that the system would become much sharper is that if teachers were audited and held to a consistency level across academic disciplines and just across teaching practices in general. Number 2, they suggested that we could do a better job between distinguishing between learning issues and management issues. They revealed in these discussions, and I'm going to try and post them somewhere, that students are very good at managing their teachers in this system, that they very much manage the system. There are times when they just feel they have too much work or they have procrastinated, and they will pass off the fact that they might have a learning issue and weren't able to succeed on the first attempt or didn't want to try and succeed on the first attempt because they have the ability to pass on an assessment. And so they said we need to really make some distinguishing policies between what are real learning issues and what are management issues. They said if we want to help them succeed, we need to communicate. Number 1, at large pool events, they wanted to see successful students, those who they deemed successful, speaking to the entire student body about things that would help them succeed. They really believed in modeling, and they had watched the models who they thought were successful from the time they entered the high school level, and that these large pool events held often would benefit them. They also talked about learning teams, and they felt it would be a good idea, and they thought it would work in pairs or small groups of 3 or perhaps even small groups of 8 to 10, bringing together a diverse learning community, seniors with freshmen, boys and girls, successful and unsuccessful, those who had expertise across disciplines, bring them together and allow them to journey through their high school careers together, and that they would teach each other how to be successful. And that certainly supports what Vygotsky says about learning, and we would treat success as a learning issue all by itself. The students have heard a little rumor about mandatory safety netting coming up, and one of the things that our students told us very, very clearly in our teaching or in our time of discussion was that our teachers are much too soft, and that they actually still respect good old-fashioned strictness in teaching practice as long as the teachers love them, were enthusiastic about what they were teaching, knew their subject matter, loved them, that teachers could demand a lot. And so they wanted to see some structure put around our situation. So they had heard that we were pondering a mandatory safety netting, and they said, great idea. That coupled with just stricter deadlines within our class, they said that they would respond to those stricter deadlines that were put in place, and that they needed them. We touched on in section 4 that adolescents still have that push-pull thing going on. They do not want people managing them, but they do. They still feel the need to have structure in their lives from people that they care for and look up to, and have been given responsibility to help them manage through the mastery system. They also suggested that they would really benefit from supplementary and supporting life skill courses. There's been attempts over their school career to introduce study skills, but they said that we could go a lot further in introducing courses in time management and, again, hearing from senior students on how to manage time, not their teachers or their directors standing up there, but successful students who are natural leaders standing up with with a program like this, cam capture or some sort of presentation, and with the pages of a day timer in front of them up on the platform saying, this is how I manage time and this is why I have become successful. And we discussed the whole notion of introducing success literature into the life of the school. One of the things that the students revealed in their discussions was that successful students always have a clear picture of where they're going. They had a picture of success in mind, and that picture was often determined by parent involvement in their lives, teacher involvement in their lives. One student said television, the effect of television. She saw doctors on TV and thought, wow, that's what I want to be. And others said just, from having other role models in the community in their lives. But everybody who was successful in our focus group it turned out to be 9 people over 3 days. But each and every one of them had a clear picture of success, and they were working towards meeting that success, both the picture of their post-secondary educational objective, and in most cases they had career objectives. Identificationally, they might not have had that full thing formed in their mind, but they certainly had targets. And surprisingly enough, the one boy who was both the most brilliant mind in the group and the most unsuccessful in our system said, I have no picture of where I'm going in life. They talked about the possibility for a revitalized and relevant success language among students. One of the supporting features of Mastery Learning here at KIS is we have a success orientations language, which has been introduced from the time the children are very small and goes with them all the way through high school. And our secondary students said, let's bring it to the secondary level. The language is not relevant to the needs that we have in order to succeed. It deals more with character issues and things that they felt should be formed by the time they were in high school. And they said, no, we need to encourage each other through successful language. And so let's get back to the question. I promised early in our study back in part 1 to say that I was going to review the book with you, which I have, that I was going to look at a couple of the theorists that we studied and test out Glasser's Mastery Learning and Every Student Can Succeed against what we've been taught in our course, and then that we would let the experts speak, of course. And so, bottom line, I find Glasser's Mastery Learning with appropriate support for adolescent age students a very effective educational strategy for these secondary